Consistency is key over all this. Like, you have to be consistent, be realistic with yourself. You have a busy schedule and you feel like you make it in 5 days a week, great. But if you can't realistically do that, say 3, train for those 3. If you can throw in a 4th day, letting your coach know, your trainer know, and we can adjust the program. And so he was doing PFT and CFT, he wasn't passing, right? And so he honestly just came up to me. He's like, "You're a fit guy. Can you help me?"
Okay. Yeah.
I get a really, really good feeling, like whether it's military members or like just regular lifestyle or competitors or whatever, right? Having people just have that like aha moment, and knowing that I have assisted them in that, making sure that they are in that dream physique, they are feeling good about themselves. Confidence is key over all this, right? So like making sure that they feel good about their mental, their physical, their everything. And it just kind of like brings me a sense of, I don't know, joy, fulfillment, like helping people out.
Justin Burke is a United States Marine Corps veteran and currently online fitness coach and in-person personal trainer right here in Houston. Today, he shared with us some insights into military life and kind of how it corresponds, with fitness life. So,
Yeah.
What was the most interesting part to you, Sean?
Butt naked dude in PT. No,
I don't know if it was that or the bear mace, dude.
The bear mace. Yeah. No, dude, it was really interesting episode for sure. I didn't know that there was that much detail and care, I guess, put into physical fitness in the Army. I mean, it makes sense, but I just didn't know. I didn't know anything about it. So it was cool getting that insight. And I liked his approach to taking those things that he learned in the Army and like kind of implying it into helping his clients in the civilian world. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I honestly never knew very much about just military life and kind of how it works, what their lifestyles look like.
Yeah.
Obviously you hear stories all the time, but actually sit down and talk to someone about it for a while was very interesting. And to hear a little bit about how he handled nutrition and fitness and strength training workouts, he said he lived off a base, but still while he was, in that lifestyle.
Yeah, with very limited things. I mean, they can't have a hot plate in the barracks.
Yeah, that's crazy. Just a microwave.
Yeah, just a microwave. So yeah.
Yeah, guys, super interesting. Make sure you listen all the way through. 2 really crazy stories in this one. One comes at the very end, so make sure you listen all the way through. Make sure you like this video, subscribe, share it with your friends. Enjoy.
What'd you have for breakfast this morning, Phil?
Today I had 4 eggs, 2 English muffins, and 2 pieces of turkey sausage. And I made like a little egg sandwich. Sounds great.
Sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it's real good. Yeah, real good.
What about you, Justin? What'd you have?
I did 3 eggs.
Okay.
And 3 strips of turkey bacon and an English muffin.
Dang. So if I make that switch, will my arms look like yours?
Hey, just got to be consistent with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Sean, dude, I'm on it. So what'd you have, Sean?
Man, I just kept it real simple. I did, what? Wait a second. What did I have? Steak
Dude,
and
it was
eggs.
your question.
Steak and eggs. Steak and eggs. Had steak and eggs.
Nice. What kind of steak?
Just a steak I got from Kroger.
Like what cut of steak, do you know?
Oh, it was a sirloin.
Sirloin?
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah, that's my go-to. It's fatty, but I mean, I'm not really trying to watch for that right now.
Okay.
Give me all the fats.
Yeah. Hey, man, whatever you say.
Yes, sir.
Well, Justin, man, appreciate it. You're a personal trainer and an online coach, right?
Yes.
Are most of your clients local to Houston, like for your online thing, or are they all over?
All over, honestly. A lot of my clientele is based out in North Carolina and California. Some are, most of them are active duty military. Some of them are vets. Some of them are actually like overseas right now. I have someone out in Okinawa.
Wow.
So a good majority is like throughout the U.S., some overseas, and then I have a nice handful out here in the area.
How'd you get clients from all over the place like this?
So actually, I was also in the Marine Corps.
Okay.
So I was stationed out in North Carolina, Camp Lejeune. And when I got out, of course, you keep in contact with buddies, stuff like that. When I started everything up, reached out to some of my old buddies, seeing if they were, trying to go for anything specific. And so I got probably 5, 6, 7 clients from that, and then referrals. Just having that. The rapport with other military members, understanding the lifestyle, the busy schedule, like how it takes a very demanding toll on the body, making sure they have enough rest, what their nutrition has to look like, and what's available to them. I have the understanding of that, so it works really well together.
Wow. So I'll be honest, I don't know too much about, the military lifestyle. So why don't you tell us a little bit or educate me, like on, you said it's a busy lifestyle. It can be tough maybe to keep your fitness high. Tell us a little bit about that and what it looks like on the day-to-day for someone in that situation.
Man. So every single day, like you do your PT in the morning or in the evening, depending on the season. Like if it's hot in the evening, then like they'll do it in the morning, vice versa. But typically you would do PT at like 5 a.m. So you got to get up at 4 a.m. to be down there soon enough. Do PT for like an hour, hour and a half. You have like 30 minutes to change over, shower, get ready to go to work, right?
Okay.
And whatever your job is, your MOS, it kind of depicts on how long your day is, but your average day is from like 6:30, 7 a.m. all the way to like 4 or 5 p.m. And you're always on call, right? So like by the time you get off, sometimes like stuff from higher ups will come down saying, hey, we got to get this done because it's got to be shipped out. Now you're there till 7, 8 p.m. So it's kind of like up in the air scheduling, but your average day is from like starting at 5 a.m., getting off at about 5 p.m.
Oh man, you said MOS. What is that?
So it's basically your job skill, right? So like there's, civilian lifestyle, like you have mechanics, plumbers, utilities work, like food service people, that kind of stuff. Same exact thing in the military. It's just qualified per like group.
Okay. So you have small groups that have like each skill within that group.
Yeah. So there's in the States, it's called garrison, like when you're on base, and you have like your shop. So it's going to be everyone in that shop is, say, a utilities marine, right? And so everyone there's like a water treatment specialist or an electrician or an HVAC person, everyone there, and then they'll pull like 1 or 2 people when they do field ops or deployments, and they'll go get put up with another shop that is kind of like based out of what they need, right? It's always says the demands in the Marine Corps is where they send you.
So you're living on base in this situation, or can this be anywhere?
So if you're married, you can have a house outside of base, right? Because
Okay.
they'll give you a housing allowance to kind of help pay rent and stuff like that. But if you're a single military person, you stay in the barracks on base and just go to and from work until they send you to field ops, deployment, stuff like that.
Wow. And how long does that last?
All depends. I went on a couple of field ops that were just like a week or two where you just pretty much go sit in the desert for a few weeks for no reason. You're just pretty much sitting there. And then I've had people be gone for like 9, 10 months, so it just really all depends on what they need.
So when you say you go sit in the desert for a couple weeks, is there some like rhyme or reason to that? Or are they just like testing something? What's going on there?
There's always a reason behind it. So like, for instance, there's a place out in California called Slab City. It's where they send like a WTI, which is a type of field op. You go out there for 2.5 months and your whole job is to support the functions of WTI, which is like a air training.
Okay.
Right. So you're pretty much out there. If you're utilities, you run showers, laundry. If you're in comms, make sure communication stays up, food service, cooking food for everybody. Everyone has their own individual jobs, but there's a greater purpose, right? But you're pretty much there to support, Okay. And then of course, if you're like a grunt, like you're just kind of there as field op training, being like, hey, this is what it's like to live in the desert.
Okay. Just kind of giving you some experience, like in case you get called out for like an actual mission. Is that the goal there? Okay.
Pretty much, yeah. So like you'll go out there, stay in some tents, and like they give you MREs, and you just hang out in the desert.
Harden you up a little bit?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. What was your role?
So I was actually utilities marine.
Okay.
So I was the one who helped out with the electricity, the waters, the making sure that the water's potable, like you can actually drink it and not like get sick and everything while doing that while we're out there. But yeah.
Okay. And I'm assuming that this is where your fitness life started, or did it start before the military?
It was here and there a little bit before the military. As you can tell, 5'6". You can't really tell sitting down, but 5'6", not naturally a very big framed guy. And so.
Oh, I thought you were going to say naturally I'm super jacked. No. I thought that's what was coming.
No.
Like naturally I have this V taper, I thought that's the direction that he was going.
No, quite the opposite.
Yeah.
My normal body frame before I started working out, I was like 135 pounds, 140 pounds, all through high school. It wasn't until the military, that I started putting on weight because I really wanted to compete in powerlifting. And so I really focused in on, of course, eating food and training. And it was like It took me a solid 3 years to get up to about 185, 190 pounds, because I wasn't guided. I just was pretty much eating whatever I could, just eating and working out. And so, of course, some body fat came on there.
Sure.
As well as some aches and pains in the body because I wasn't following the proper technique the way you should be doing it. Right. And during
And
that,
you were how old at this time?
I joined when I was 18. So that was what, 2021.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. During that time, I was still huge into fitness, and so I wanted to be able to help people out with that. And so I started educating myself, talking to coaches, that kind of stuff, learning a little bit more about nutrition and working out, and taking my junior Marines because I became an NCO at that point. So it's a non-commissioned officer, but there's junior Marines below you, so like your little squad, right? And I had people that were out of shape in the military, and if you're out of shape in the military, they kick you out. Right. And so I started training them, getting them back into shape. If they had injuries, making sure that they recovered properly, still staying in healthy standards, that kind of stuff, so they continue their career. Right. And so I really got a passion for that at that point. Mm-hmm. All the way to the point of ended up injuring myself. Right. So I weeks before a powerlifting meet that I wanted to be a part of, we did it was like a 12-mile gas mask hike with like a full kit on your back. It was like 75-pound pack on your back, gas mask on and everything, right? 12-mile hike. In the same week, I did my heavy leg day to kind of see where I was going to be at for the numbers. And I squatted down and like my back popped, right? Stood back up. Didn't really think anything of it. Just racked it back. Finished on with my leg day. Next day I woke up, could not move. I was like, oh my God, this hurts, right? Ended up going to the doctor, and my L4 and L5 is like cracked, right? So got a little messed up there. And so that's when I dived even more into like importance of proper lifting, proper rest, like all of that. And that's where I really started dialing in all that, right? And that was like the last year I was in the military.
Okay. I have a lot of questions on that, but before we get into that, I'm curious of the standards of fitness in the military. You said that if you're in the military and you're out of shape, they kick you out.
Yes.
How do they define that though?
A couple different ways. Height and weight.
Okay.
So depending on how tall you are, you have a max weight. I don't have the whole list of like the breakdowns of it, but for me, 5'6", my max weight was like 100. I think it was 65 pounds.
That's not huge.
No, it's not very big. But they want everyone to be athletic, so you can pick stuff up and you can run. Right? Like you pretty much only carry an 8-pound rifle, your pack on your back, and that's it. You got to be able to travel far distances, So like the ideal Marine is kind of like just a athletic build, like not too big, not too small, just kind of built, right? So if you're above those weights, then they have to tape you out, right? And so if you're above, I want to say it's 18% body fat, then they put you on what's called BCP, which is pretty much a program that you have 6 months to get back within weight standard, or they start admin separating you. So, yeah, depending on your height and weight, it really breaks down that. Now, you can still be over that weight and stay in as long as you're making tape and you pass their scoring.
What is making tape?
Making tape.
So, like, they'll tape your neck and your waist.
Oh, okay.
Like taping out to kind of see what your body fat percentage is that way. And as long as you're below the 18%, you're pretty good, right?
Okay, I got you.
Now, if you're above weight, you make tape. But you have to pass their PFT and CFT, which is their physical fitness scores.
Dude, there's so many acronyms.
There's a lot, dude.
Yes, the military is broken down full of acronyms.
Are getting me. Okay, so PFT is one I'm familiar with, physical fitness test,
yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah, okay. I got one.
You got one of them.
I'm like 1 for 30. So
Get
what?
this dude a rifle and a helmet.
You're set.
So what is the PFT look like?
So
the military standards.
The PFT is a 3.2 mile run.
3.2 miles?
Yeah. So it's a 5K, right?
Yeah, that 3.1 would be a 5K. Yeah.
So pretty much a 5K.
Yep, okay.
Right. It's based on a scoring system. So like if you run it, it's for men and women. So if you run it in 28 minutes or below, technically you pass. But if you're at 28 minutes, then you get only like 40 points. So it's out of 100. The max, 100 points, you have to run in like 17 minutes. Ridiculous. I know a couple people that can do that,
fast,
but they are fast.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's kind of why I said they want you to be lean and just kind of like athletic, right? So you can run. So it's a 3.2 mile run. It's pull-ups, which is max to get is like 23 pull-ups for men. And then it's like a 4-minute plank. Yeah.
Jeez.
The plank is rough, but there's that. And then the CFT is a combat fitness test, which is a 880-yard dash, but you're wearing like boots and utes. So like it's
880 yards?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like
pretty far.
yeah, it's like a half mile pretty much, right? You're wearing your cami bottoms, combat boots, and like the shirt, and you sprint, right? Like you just run all the way down, and you have to do that within I think it's like 4 minutes is the slowest you can do to get max scores. Like I think it's like minute 45, something like that.
Oh my God. And it's a single event.
Yes, so that's the start.
Oh, okay, okay.
Then you have ammo can lifts, which is a 30-pound ammo can you just press above the head.
Okay.
To max out on that, it's 100 ammo can lifts, and then you do a maneuver under fire or a muff. That's a little hard to explain. It's basically like I think it's like 15, 20 yards long, and they have cones. So like you'll low crawl to one, bear crawl to the other, stand up, you'll sprint zigzag cones. At the end, there is a tennis ball, but it's supposed to be a grenade throw. You throw it, drop down, do 5 push-ups, and there's a guy sitting there, right? And you pick him up, you buddy drag him back to the first cone, second cone, third cone, then you fireman carry him all to the beginning. And you have to do that in like 2 minutes.
I think what we should do so this can make sense is we set this up, have Sean do it, and then we overlay it so everybody watching can see. Because that was kind of hard to follow.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. The maneuver fire is a little hard to follow.
But I think we have cones here. I'm down.
We have all the stuff.
Yeah.
As long as I can be the body. I can be the body double.
Oh, you said a body?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's a
carry the person.
Oh.
You have to carry them.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a buddy. So they try to do people around the same weight, right? So like I'm not sure how much you guys weigh, but say you're sitting down and you're over there, you do the entire first half, then you buddy drag him back, fireman carry him all the way down, and it's a rough time.
What does the fireman carry look like?
So basically, as soon as you're done dragging them back, you'll have them stand up. You just throw them on your shoulder, and they'll cross their feet. They put their hand in the small of your back, like making sure you brace your back.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's just over the shoulder that way,
Oh,
and
okay,
they just
gotcha.
sprint all the way back.
That sounds wild, dude.
Yeah. No, that one is it's a very short test. The CFT is, but it's very exhausting.
Yeah, but the intensity is very high.
Yeah, it's very intense because like the first one, technically you're supposed to run in like 3-4 minutes. The ammo can lifts, it's in 2-minute time frame to get the 100 ammo can lifts, and the maneuver under fire is like 2.5 minutes max.
So this is a less than 10-minute test.
Pretty much.
A maximum effort.
Yeah, 100%. Whole time you have to go because it's all based on a 100-point scoring system each event. So you get 300 out of 300. Like I said, if you're on the being able to taped out, if you make it 300 and 300 on PFT and CFT, you're good. But most people that are like really overweight, they're not going to be running a 3.2 mile.
Yeah, so
in
basically
17 minutes.
you don't have to do this in crazy times as long as you're underweight.
Technically.
Is that correct? So I'll make sure I'm understanding right.
To not get kicked out, yes.
Yes, yeah.
Everything's still based off first class, second class, and third class.
Like rankings?
Yeah, so like rankings. If you fall in a third class of PFT and CFT, then your promotion score, because their promotions are based off scorings as well, you're much less likely to get promoted sooner. If you're both first class, then you're looked at as like a prime stellar Marine,
Okay.
So they're like, this guy is squared away, he's solid. If you know your job and you're physically fit, you promote fast, right? So like while you're in, you can become a corporal or sergeant in the first 4 years, but then there's a lot of people that don't make it past like E3, which is a lance corporal, because they're not as physically fit or they don't know their job as well, something like that.
It's like a combination of those two things.
Yeah. So like there's a couple things like your McMat belt, which is the Marine Corps Martial Arts program. You go like tan, gray, green, brown, and black. Depending on which ones you have, is another point system. It goes into ranking. There's a lot of stuff in order to be promoted in the military.
Sounds like if you're within weight, jacked, and pretty smart, you got somewhere to be in the Marines.
Pretty solid.
You got a spot.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Okay. And you were remind me again?
So I got out as a sergeant.
Okay.
Yeah. So I, well, as you said, smart, got fit, and Yeah,
Jacked was the other word.
Yeah, there you go. I didn't want to say jacked, but like I was
That's
fit.
the other one.
Gotta
and
give yourself some
did my
credit,
job.
man.
Yeah.
But you started training people while you were still in the military, right? Okay, so I'm assuming that your first clients were people that were failing their tests, or like tell me the story of how you got like that first person. Who was the first one? I'm sure it's something interesting that people would like to hear about.
So honestly, when I first made it to the shop, right, is what they call it when you hit like, the fleet, which is when you're stationed at Lejeune, I was still not very big, very fit. So that whole first like 2 years I was there was working out, putting on size, that kind of stuff. And then the more I moved up, of course, new junior Marines came in. And so there was this guy, he used to be super, super fit, but in the MOS schooling where they're teaching him all this stuff, he let himself go, right? And so he hit the fleet, and like people were like, what the heck, man? Like you on paper, you look amazing. He's like, but you don't, like you don't look amazing. Like what's going on? And so he was doing PFT and CFT. He wasn't passing, right? And so he honestly just came up to me. He's like, you're a fit guy. Can you help me?
Okay. Yeah.
It was pretty much just like that. And
Okay.
that's when I kind of got into, taking my Marines to the gym in the morning, having to do the cardio routines, and then doing the weight training and stuff, and kind of like teaching about nutrition. Because I was somewhat knowledgeable at the time, like I had a good understanding, but I wasn't perfect. So like still doing research for people like that had diet restrictions and stuff, of course, but kind of giving them that knowledge to help them out because they're in the barracks, so like they only had a microwave. They didn't have a stove. They didn't have anything. So like had to figure out ways to get them healthy without breaking the bank, because microwavable dishes and like pre-packed meals and all that kind of stuff can get a little pricey sometimes. And so really helping them out on that side, as well as bringing them to the gym in the morning instead of having them do like 30 minutes of whatever PT that they had initially with the rest of the platoon. I would take them and I would just train them myself, right? Or like if they required them to do the PT in the morning, I would take them after work and then do the same thing.
And I guess higher ranks were like okay with this?
Yeah, so like at that point I was one of the higher ranks.
Okay.
I was a corporal at the time, which is, like I said, taking control of my own like little squad. And so like they would allow me to pull like certain people, especially like the people who are on BCP. They're like, hey, he needs help.
Whatever it
Help
takes.
him. Yeah.
Like let's get this guy.
Yeah. They're really big on looking out for each other, but you have to want to try. Like if I have this guy in the Marine Corps and he just doesn't care, like there's only so much you can do. They'll probably just end up admin separating him, But if he's like genuinely trying, but he just can't figure it out, we'll help him.
Yeah. So there is like a support team.
Yeah.
I hear that a lot about people that when they come out of the military, and we just did a podcast the other day. You should definitely check it out. I bet Johnny would be a really good connection for you, dude. He's an endurance coach. So he actually trains my wife she runs marathons, and she's thinking about trying her first triathlon soon. And Johnny is her coach, but they have a nonprofit that helps veterans get into endurance sports and give them a structure. So they raise money, and then the money that they raise, they use to coach these veterans.
That's awesome.
So I think it'd be a really good connection for you. And I forgot where I was going with that, but either way, I think that you guys should meet each other and learn a little bit more. Oh, what I was getting at with that is people that come out of the military, they're so used to structure, the team environment, their brothers in arms, and other things like that. And then when they get out of the military, it's like, what now?
Yeah,
and like that's who Johnny helps a lot of, like people there, whether they're dealing with PTSD or some type of something after when they get released from the military, they try to help them stay in structure. So that it's a really team environment, I'm assuming is really what you're a part of there.
Honestly, yeah, 100%. Like when you're so used to, like you said, that structure, having that camaraderie built up with your fellow platoon members, because they have a saying, it's called embrace the suck.
Okay,
and it's because you're in pretty crappy places. Like I said, sitting in deserts, just sitting there, like in horrible weather, like doing stupid stuff the whole time. It's not what you're doing, it's who you're with. And that's kind of like where it makes the bad situations not so bad, right? So you build a lot of bonds with people. And once you get out, if you move away, where are they at?
Right.
You know, and so being able to still have that communication with people that understands the background, how it works, and that kind of thing, it definitely helps out a lot.
Do you think there's a little bit off topic here, but I'm curious, is there some type of, I don't know, mental trick or anything that you've done to take a positive out of that instead of, like, you hear a lot of veterans, they are, mentally struggle, after this time because they did all these really difficult things. But is there anything in particular that maybe you've done to take those really hard things that you went through and maybe those like devastating moments, of being in really crappy conditions, but it's helped you now instead of the other direction?
Honestly, a lot of it is still just reaching out to people. Yeah, just talking to people. There's people that I haven't seen since like my schoolhouse, which is learning my job. And that was like 5-6 years ago now, and we still text. Wow. I have not even seen him since then. Mm-hmm. We still text, and it's just over simple things, like just catching up. We'll send each other like Instagram reels or whatever, just having that communication with people still. It helps out a lot. You might not be talking about bad things going on. It's just knowing that they understand. If you do need to talk to them, they're there, but hey, they're your buddies, right? They're here for you no matter what.
Yeah, so just knowing that someone is there and, that you have someone to talk to, yeah.
That's where a lot of people like kind of fall the short end, because they'll get out and they just cut communication with people because they got like a sour taste in their mouth from the military, like something happened, they didn't like it, so they ended up cutting ties with everybody. And that's when people go in that downward spiral and like try to figure things out on their own. But in reality, humans are social creatures. Right. You want to talk to people and you want to talk to people that get it.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a really good point. Just even for someone that hasn't been through something like that, just keep in mind that knowing that someone else is there and reaching out to them and just having a quick conversation can, change everything for you.
For sure.
Was there a light bulb moment or something that happened? You were like, hey, I think I can like do this for a living,
It was more like a fulfillment thing, enjoyment. So there is nothing, like I get a really, really good feeling, like whether it's military members or like just regular lifestyle or competitors or whatever, right? Having people just have that like aha moment, and knowing that I have assisted them in that, making sure that they are in that dream physique, they are feeling good about themselves. Confidence is key over all this, right? So like making sure that they feel good about their mental, their physical, their everything. And it just kind of like brings me a sense of, I don't know, joy, fulfillment, like helping people out. It's not necessarily like a money-based thing because, it's nice, depending on, of course, how much you're charging behind all of it. But like try to make sure that it's affordable to everyone.
Right. Yes, we do the same, yeah.
And because it's still a business, you want to charge something. But like I have people that I've given free programs to. Right. Like I have like 6 or 7 free programs on my online thing right now. And I have people that are half off just because, like they're like, I can't afford it right now. I was like, well, let me get you in at this just so you have some structure, some guidance, So like we can still communicate everything out. And I treat all my clients the exact same, like I'm here for you. Reach out to me anytime. I will make changes to the programs as we go, like full on support, right? No matter if they're doing full price or half price or the free programming, it's just that sense of like fulfillment. And when I was in the military helping people because they wanted to make a career out of it and they were out of shape or they got injured, if I was the one who helped them get back to where it was, they got to stay in, like they sent a lot of gratitude for it, Sure. All the way through like coming down here to Texas. Like when I was working the other training departments, I used to get thank you texts all the time. Like, oh my God, I see this now. Like I'm enjoying myself to yesterday, one of my clients sent me a text. She was like, I was obsessed on the number of the scale. She has like pretty big like self-insecurities. Sure. Right. Mm-hmm. She's like hyper fixated on the number on the scale. Right. And it wasn't really budging. But then we did the check-in, taped out, all of her measurements went down. Right. So she lost her body fat, got stronger, more confidence. And she sent me like this super long text saying like, oh my God, this is so amazing and all that. And I was like, good. Like that's the reason why I'm doing this, you know? So it's like the motivating factor for other people as well.
Mm-hmm. Whenever you tell me about, I guess you said you've lived in Houston for a little over a year, right? Yeah. And was that straight out of the military you came here or how did that work out?
So Kind of, sort of. It was about a year and a half after I got out.
Okay.
So I was out in North Carolina for a while after I left, Camp Lejeune, and I actually ran security for some clubs up there.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
Still did some training and stuff like that, but
so you were doing fitness like part-time at that time. Though. Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
About a year and a half, and that's actually where I met my fiance.
Okay.
She ended up being a bartender, and she was also in the Marine Corps. Found that out after. But so was running security up there, and my brother lives down here in Houston, and he was the training manager over the Crunch in Beaumont. And he was like, "Hey man, you still want to make, like fitness like a career?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" He was like, "Come down here and you can help me out at this Crunch." Right? And I was like, "All right, cool." On a whim, in a matter of 2 weeks, I just packed everything up and left.
Your fiance came with you?
Yeah. Yeah,
Nice.
she lives down here now too.
Ride or die.
There you go. Yeah.
Ride or die.
But yeah, no, she was very skeptical about it because we were only together for like a year at the time. She was like, "I'm just gonna follow this guy down to Texas." Never even been to Texas, But yeah, no, she traveled down with me. We're still going good. Funny thing is when I moved down here to work at that Beaumont Crunch as an assistant training manager. As you know, Crunch is like a corporate thing.
Sure.
They found out we were brothers. And
Oh,
they were
really?
like, "Yeah, you can't work there."
Really?
Yeah, I was like,
Brothers?
yeah, well, because he would have been my direct boss, and so they could
Conflict of interest.
possible showing favoritism, that kind of stuff. Because there's
Okay.
other assistants and
That
stuff.
makes sense.
And so I was like, "Well, crap," I was like, "What am I gonna do now?" And he ended up reaching out to the Crunch over here in League City and found me a spot over there, and that's when I moved out here.
Okay.
Yep.
Very cool. And you lived down here for specifically like this area for how long?
About like a year and
Oh,
5
pretty
months.
much. So it
Yeah, the
wasn't
whole
very
time.
long.
Yeah, I was only in
Yeah.
Beaumont for about a month.
Oh yeah, because they found out y'all were brothers
yeah,
like
as
pretty
soon as I moved
quickly.
down there.
Yeah, I got
it was
you.
like
Sorry.
the day I moved down to Texas. They were like, "Yeah, you don't have a job." I was like,
Perfect.
Like, dang,
Yeah,
man,
sweet.
I ain't even get a check yet. What's
Yeah,
going
I was
on?
like, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, ended up over at the League City over here for
Okay.
about like 6-7 months as the assistant training manager.
Okay.
And then that's when I got offered a job over at Apex Gym out in LaPorte.
Okay.
As their fitness director. Brought in personal training, nutrition shop, group fitness, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And yeah.
And
now
are you still there or
No.
Okay.
no.
You
So
were
I-
independent for the most part right now.
Now I'm fully independent. I left the gym industry like that. Decided to go completely private. Got my own app. Working with the clients, like I said, all over the U.S. I'm out here as well.
Yeah.
And I'm over at the MyFit Foods as a like side job as well.
Yeah, cool. I wanted to actually touch on that's kind of where I wanted to go next is to the nutrition side. I want to hear a little bit about your philosophies of nutrition and like general statements, but I'm also very curious, for how you actually help someone that's active military, like on base, like that situation you were talking about earlier, like packaged foods and stuff like that. Like, how do you coach someone on nutrition in a situation like that? Because we all know, like, oh, healthy, whole foods, protein focused, like, oh, cool. But when you're in a situation where you're very, I don't want to use the word secluded, but you have limited options.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm sure you don't have an HEB on the Garrison or nothing, do you? Like,
They have something called the PX.
Okay.
It's like a small little mini mart grocery store kind of thing.
what's that? What is that an acronym for?
I honestly have no idea.
Oh, it's just PX. It's
yeah,
just
I think
called
it's just
PX.
PX.
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
I have no idea.
Gotcha,
It's like
gotcha.
a Marine Corps mart, pretty much,
Oh,
right?
okay, cool.
So since the PX has, of course, it's like a grocery store, so there's on-base housing as well. That's why that's there. A lot of the barracks Marines still can't really cook like chicken breast and salmon and turkey or whatever because they're not allowed to have hot plates in the barracks. Yeah.
so they don't have no kitchen.
They have a microwave, and I think you're allowed to have a toaster. Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's pretty much it. They have like their sink, their bathroom, and then like you can have a microwave on it. But yeah, and a
sweet.
mini fridge. You have a mini fridge. Yeah,
Hot pockets.
pretty much, right?
There we go.
But it's definitely a lot harder to do. A lot of it is still, like I said, somewhat prepackaged foods, like keeping a watch on like sodium intake, of course, but a lot of tunas, eggs, because you can microwave eggs, like you can just whisk it up like make egg whites or like whisk up eggs, microwave it for a couple minutes, and it still comes out as
Like a scrambled egg.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
I've
comes out
done
as
that. It's
scrambled
been a
eggs.
while, but I have done that.
Yeah, but you know, like if you don't have any other option, you got your eggs, you can buy like shredded chicken, rotisserie chickens, like that kind of stuff. I give the breakdown when it comes to how much proteins, carbs, fats they need, like and their meal program, like their diet broken down for them, and how much grams or ounces they would need of each individual thing. You know, it does make it a lot harder, but I go through and I give very specific like brands and like breakdowns of like the meats and the certain breads and all that kind of stuff and how we go about it. Put all that in the app and then program it, and they just
Because you know exactly what they have at the PX.
yeah.
Dude, that sounds tough. I mean, what I'm hearing here is that no matter what your situation is, like
There's no excuses.
there's always a way.
I was gonna say I love the creativity.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. I have a question later on, but yeah, you guys go on. I don't want to. I don't want
You
to.
sure?
It
Yeah,
yet.
go ahead.
Well, the question really was, I guess, how have you carried over some of the creativity of being a personal trainer basically in the Army to like helping just civilians? Like, you know, they'll come up with, oh man, I don't know what to eat or whatever, and you're like, dude, I had people eating like eggs out of the microwave. You know, it's like, dude, I could get you something. So like, I guess, how do you think that's helped?
Honestly, it helps out a lot just because in the aspect of people that say don't know how to cook, right? Simplicity, right? What really matters is getting the macros in, your proteins, your fats, your carbs. Okay, making sure we're hitting these numbers as well as, you know, getting in your micronutrients, that side of things, giving them like a simplistic breakdown on that, and then having them say, hey, we can add our seasonings into it, of course, or we can add certain sauces. I'll give them like a list of sauces they could use, like the G. Hughes brand, you know, like over at Walmart, sugar-free, zero calorie, that kind of stuff. Super simple that way, or we can make it more creative and like add like your onions, your peppers, your the whatever protein, like all the seasonings and sauces. I'll give them a breakdown on that as well. They just all through communication. I have people that say, I don't know how to cook chicken, you know? And so like, I'll give a full explanation on how to do it as well as what to put on it. And there you go. Right. So super simple, or we can make it complicated. You know, it really just depends on how they want to go about it. Just communication is key about all, you know, just let me know, hey, I can do this or I can't.
Yeah. I noticed that you said you had your client tape herself off too. Is that like a common thing that you do with all of your clients, kind of like bringing that back? Because I've heard of personal trainers like doing weigh-ins and check-ins, but I've never heard of someone having them physically tape themselves off. So, but I do like that though.
So the reason why I do that is because of that exact client, right? It's because she was paying too much attention to the number on the scale, and she's still making progress. Like she made amazing progress. She lost a couple inches off her waist, but she didn't look like she lost a whole lot off the scale itself, right? So that alone allowed her to see the number difference, know that she lost body fat, and it brought back the motivation to continue.
I love it.
Yeah. You know, so like seeing that right there, it reignited her spark on why she started back, you know, because like I said, if they're more self-conscious, a little bit like, you know, well, self-conscious is the word. Yeah. That alone can keep people dialed in, you know, being like, hey, there's progress.
Results are motivating.
100%.
Yeah, well, something I tell a lot of people is that, you know, results are the most motivating thing. There's two huge motivations. One is results, and two is when other people tell you about them.
100%. Yeah.
You know, so like those two things will keep people moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
And that may be from a peer, it may be from a coach. You know, so I'm sure that, you know, positive feedback is something that you do as a coach. So can you talk about like the benefits of that? Like when you're in a situation, like making sure that someone, whether they're using a trainer like yourself or like us, you know, or they're just trying to do something on their own. Can you talk a little bit about like why it's important to keep your finger on the pulse of those benefits and focus on those positives?
It helps keep people accountable, you know, like letting them know, hey, I see you. I see what you're doing. You're making great progress. Like, keep it up. Keep going. It's a self-motivator for them, as well as it keeps them more accountable, because when other people start seeing it, now you start to see the changes. Like, you can look in the mirror all day and feel like you look the same. But when someone else sees it, you're like, well, maybe I do look different.
Yeah,
let's keep going, you know? And like, that's a huge reason on why it's so important for those positive affirmations. Like, even if it's just losing a pound, or like you can tell that their stomach is a little bit smaller, they're not bloated or whatever, right? Or like the first bicep vein for a guy, you know, like that kind of stuff. You're like, man, you're looking good. They're like, hell yeah, I like this. Like, I'm going to keep going. So that's super important overall for positive affirmations. And when it comes to the online side, because like I said, a lot of my people are out in North Carolina and California. I have everyone send like check-in photos every week, so I can of course make changes as needed when it comes to like how the body's shaping up. But I ask that people, send me workout videos of whatever they might be questionable on, or what they feel good about. Like their new PRs, or like however they're going about it, right? So that I can either do form checks or like give them little shout outs or whatever. So when I post it up on my story and I get like heart reacts, or people are like doing little fire emojis, that kind of stuff, I'm like, hey bro, check this out. And I'll screenshot, send it, like letting people know, hey, these people don't even know you and they're still liking what you're doing. So like there's a lot of things to go about that.
Yeah, that's awesome. You mentioned like the changing of the body. So tell us a little bit about like your belief system or how you work as far as, actually making the body change. Tell us about the combination between, I guess, like strength training, cardio, calisthenics, and then we'll touch on the diet part as well.
So when it comes to that, I like to build the programs out completely customized per person, right? If they aren't as comfortable with going into the gym, want to stay a more calisthenic base, at least until they kind of build that frame to go into the gym, I build a calisthenics style workout plus cardio routine. I prefer to build out for people like a muscle development style strength training, because like I said, shaping the body, right? If they want to, lean and tone up, doing the cardio, just losing body fat, you're going to lean and tone up, right? As long as we're hitting protein goals and we're building that muscle mass or maintaining it as we go, we can isolate muscle groups, right? So like for guys, they're like, I want to, cap out my shoulders and make my chest more round. And so we can kind of do a little bit more of a breakdown when it comes under time under tension style movements, or mobility style training, like whatever their overall goal is, building it based off that.
Mm-hmm. And tell us about the like how you do your body part breakdown. Do you do like a chest day and then a back day, then an arm day?
All depends on their availability. So like I have people that can only make it in the gym 2-3 days a week. 3 days a week, do like a push-pull legs, still isolating all the muscle groups. If they're going in 5 days a week, more of like a physique style training, so like physique bodybuilding training, it would be push-pull legs, push day 1, push day 2, leg day 1, push-pull day 2, push day 2, and then leg day 2, so break it up that way. Or do single body parts or corresponding body parts, or in like an antagonist split, so like chest bis, back tris, like non-corresponding groups. It really depends on their level of availability they can make it in.
Sure.
Because ultimately, you want to still isolate the entire body, right? Making sure you're hitting all the body parts, building up the strength everywhere, producing the muscle the way we should. If they can only make it in 2 days a week, you can't do just a chest, a back, or like whatever kind of
right.
day,
And
right?
you get too much distance between everything.
Yeah. And so that's just all depending on through communication as well. So like I really pride everything on communication is key, because if you can't make it to the gym 4 or 5 days a week, why would I give you a 4 or 5 day split? So if you can only make it in 2 or 3 days, give you a split for that. And that'll all just depend on what they can do.
Yeah. Something that, I like to say, even when people are here in the gym, like considering personal training, I always tell them that I'd rather you realistically, let's put together a plan that you can actually do and be consistent with. Like, I'd rather you say that you're going to do 3 days a week and actually do all 3 than say you're going to do 5. And then sometimes you do 3, sometimes you do 5, sometimes you do 2.
Yeah.
I'd rather you like just pick something that you actually stick with, and then we can actually get ourselves moving in the right direction. So can you talk a little bit about like the importance of consistency?
Man, consistency is key. Like without consistency, like if you're, like you said, having someone come in 3 days a week, but they said they can do 5, completely changes the program. So you want to build a structured routine that you can actually follow. So we're consistently building up that muscle, constantly burning that body fat, making sure we're on track for the progress we should be. Because a lot of people, their goals are like, oh, I want to lose this or gain this by this date. Now if it's like a long-term thing and they're just like a lifestyle, they just want to keep going, that's awesome. You still want to have consistency behind it so that we can kind of like map out the progression, how we should go about it. But if you have like a date that you want to reach by, but you're only going half the time, you're not getting the full work of the program. So you need to scale back on those workouts or change the diet, because if you're eating enough food to be working out 5 days a week for your active days, but you're only coming 3, now you're overeating calories, you know, and you're not going to lose as much as you want to. So consistency is key over all this. Like, you have to be consistent, be realistic with yourself. If you have a busy schedule and you feel like you make it in 5 days a week, great. But if you can't realistically do that, say 3, train for those 3. If you can throw in a 4th day, letting your coach know, your trainer know, and we can adjust the program.
Yeah, a lot of times I might say, like, let's commit to 3, and if you get 4, we'll take it as a bonus versus just saying we're going to do 4, you know? So how do we build that consistency? Say we've been struggling. I've been trying to be consistent for years, dude. I just can't figure it out. Like, help me out.
So when it comes to that, it's really just starting somewhere. You know, like, when people start seeing results, they're, like I said, more motivated. Building that routine, breaking those bad habits, building new ones, the good habits. Starting off only going in 2 days a week, you know, and you're starting to see some slight changes. You're like, I want to see progress faster now. 3 days a week. Oh, you know, I have a little more time. 4 days a week, because after those, 21 days to make a habit?
Sure, yeah.
To build a habit, building that up over time, there you go. You can have that routine broken down for you already, and it's just small changes yield big results.
So start small,
build big,
work your way up. Yep. And then you kind of get to where you want to go. Let's wrap back. I'd like to wrap back around to the your clients, or even yourself when you were in the military, with the PT that is required. Like, how much PT is? I know you said it's in the morning, but then you said sometimes you don't have it and sometimes you do, and when you don't, that's when you would like train them sometimes. So tell us, like, what are the required, physical training, and then also how you like implement a plan on top of the required training that they're already doing?
So when it comes to that, it's still platoon based. Every platoon will have someone different running the PTs in the morning. Some people like to run a lot. Like, they will run miles on
like
miles
some of the platoon leaders.
Yeah. And like, as the squad, you have to run because they're leading the PT. Some people are like, hey, we're going to jog to this parking lot over here, and we're going to do a bunch of calisthenics. We do push-ups, burpees, mountain climbers, that kind of stuff, right? So it really depends on who's running the PT is how that's broken down. None of it's really set in routine or schedule. It's just depending on who's running is how it's ran.
There's no minimum time or anything?
It's like an hour and a half, depending on how early you start. Certain days, like if you do a whole battalion PT and it's going on like a 6-mile run, and there's like 1,000 people out there, to make sure everyone's there, you have to do roll call. So you have to get there like 4 a.m. And everyone's just standing there waiting until they can start this run. You know, so for the average time, it's like an hour. Like, you go on a run, you do some calisthenic based movements, and there you go.
You mentioned roll call. What happens if someone's not there?
Yeah,
it's just, I gotta ask.
There's a lot of different things that can happen. You know, it can make the PT extended. You know, they can.
That was my first guess.
Yeah, extended PT.
Is that for everyone? Like extended
Yes.
PT? Oh, okay.
One person gets in trouble, you're all a team. Everyone's in trouble. Yeah. Because you're supposed to be able to keep your buddy accountable, right? Like making sure they're here on time. So everyone usually gets in trouble. And then the person that was late usually gets like negative paperwork, harassed, like whatever. Right?
That's what I'm thinking.
They get messed with.
Swirly.
Yeah, you know. But yeah, typically they extend the PT out, or have people get into formations earlier and earlier, just to show like, be here on time. Because like a military motto is like 15 minutes prior to the time you have to be there. So if they say get there at 1 o'clock, be there at 12:45.
Yeah.
Right. Ready, set up to do roll call by 1. Right. And so if they do that and people are late, be 15 minutes to the 15 minutes. Now you're out there 30 minutes early.
Oof.
And then like they'll do the roll call, and they'll just kind of have you stand there.
Damn.
And you're just standing there at attention, whether it's cold, hot, raining, whatever, right? And they'll eventually tell you to break, but sometimes you're out there for a long time because people aren't there.
And you're just waiting for them to...
Just waiting, just standing at attention. If someone's like an hour late because they're stuck in traffic or whatever, right? Should have planned for traffic. And so...
Okay.
Oh, yeah, because some people are driving from off base.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't think of that. So they have to be there at the same time, though.
Same time every time. Yeah. I lived off base.
Okay.
Because I knew some people and I just stayed at their house. I had to drive 40 minutes to get to my shop, while other people just had to run downstairs from their barracks room.
Right. That's what I was considering. Yeah.
You know, so like, why are they late? But I can be there on time, you know? And so like vice versa. Like if they're down there on time, I should know, hey, if I want to be mature enough to have my own house out in town, be there on time, you know? So like, that's how they do it. But yeah.
That sounds rough.
It's
The extreme accountability.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it builds a lot of discipline though.
Yeah, it sounds like it builds a lot of character.
Character building. Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing. Some
yeah.
character building 101. I would hate to be the guy that's late. It's usually like, you said traffic, someone from off base, but do people just like ever oversleep?
All the time.
Oh,
All the time. Yeah. In the military, a lot of people drink.
Yeah.
so,
I mean, I've
like,
heard
Yeah,
that.
I've
Yeah.
heard
A lot of
too.
people drink in the military. And so like they'll get drunk the night before and oversleep. And then, yeah, it's just now you're getting woken up to people banging on your door and yelling at you while you're hungover and all this other crap. So, yeah, it's not a good idea to do that during the week, but some people still did it, you know?
Yeah.
So, and other people would pay the price for it. We allowed him to drink somehow, but it's fine.
Well, team effort.
Yeah.
Team effort. So when it comes to like doing extra stuff outside of this, you know, how do you go about finding time for them to, is there a gym on base?
Yeah.
Usually there is.
Yeah, there's several gyms on base. The base is kind of broken up into individual sections. So like where I was at was called French Creek. It's kind of like what you think in League City versus Seabrook and like
Sure, it's like a little
South
town.
Houston. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
little tiny towns where there's shops at, right? Each one has its own little gym, you know. And so like my shop was probably like 10 minutes away from that gym over there. So like if we got off at like 5 p.m. or I brought people in the morning, like the gym opened up at 4:30, right? So it really just depended. Like there was always time, or take them on my lunch. Like we would get like an hour lunch break, going to the gym.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just depending on the person's goals and how much of the PT that is scheduled from their platoon leader, you just kind of work it in there.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I wouldn't really give them a cardio routine just because
they're already getting it.
Yeah, Monday through Friday, you're typically the person that runs PT. It's 9 times out of 10 a cardio endurance-based movement anyway, because a PFT and CFT, pretty much endurance, you know, like you just have to be able to go for a long time, really fast. And so I did a lot of the strength training before I went into the cardio.
How often do you actually do the PFT and the CFT?
So they do mock ones throughout. So the first half of the year is PFT season, second half is CFT season. You only have to technically pass each one time. You can retry to take it as many times as you want to get a better score, but in order to get people prepared for it, they'll do mock PFTs and CFTs randomly throughout that time to see where you're at.
But there's still like a test day that you're looking forward to.
And the platoon usually schedule out, hey, they'll be like, hey, you and you're going to go run your PFT tomorrow. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I guess we're doing that.
So you don't really have preparation, really.
Not really. No, that's what the rest of the year's for. Just kind of stay in
You're
shape and-
always preparing.
Always. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some lessons to learn there, you know, as far as prep work, because you never know what could happen. Like even right now, you know, like tomorrow we could lose our job or something crazy could happen, and you just got to be ready.
And they do
all times.
so they do a lot of Latin. So like Semper Fidelis is their like the Marine Corps saying, which is always faithful. Another one is Semper Paratus, and that means always prepared. And
Okay.
so like no matter what the situation is, if something comes up, you have a plan. You know, like you know what you're supposed to do. So in a small sense, PFT, CFT, hey, you're doing it tomorrow. Make sure you're prepared. Bigger sense, you're going to war. You know, make sure you know how to shoot, like that kind of stuff. Know your job. And so like they pretty much the whole basis of the military is to keep you prepared for any situation.
Do you feel like preparation is one of your strong suits now, like in your life, in your job as a fitness coach, as a personal trainer?
100%. Yeah, I love a schedule.
Okay.
Yeah, I like to know what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, having it set up the way I should do it, and if things come up, how to like pivot.
All right, teach me something. Tell me your system. I love, you know, organization styles, different methods. So what does yours look like? Like, how do you schedule your days, your tasks, things like that?
So pretty much every morning I do the same exact routine, depending on like if I have to say work at My Fit Foods or not, because sometimes I do opening shifts. But every single morning I wake up, I'll eat my breakfast, I'll drink coffee, that kind of stuff, let my dogs out. And then if I don't have to go to work or check on clients or anything like that, Then I go work out myself. I come back home, eat lunch, post-workout meal, whatever, and just kind of like follow out through the day. Now, on days that I have like a busier schedule, so like Sunday was my check-in days for all my clients, or Sundays and Mondays, but Sunday was a check-in day for my clients. But I also did the grand opening for the My Fit Foods over here. So I got up early, ate my breakfast, did all my client check-ins in the morning, had them check in by like it was before like 12 o'clock noon. So I make sure they're all fasted in the morning, have them just kind of do them as they come in. Went to the gym, got prepared for work, went to work, came back home, and I actually just moved into this house over here.
Oh, cool.
And so built some furniture when I got home. But
Yeah.
just kind of like have everything planned out the way. Like,
So you kind of
broken
take
down.
things on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
So in the morning, depending on the day, in the morning when you're eating breakfast, drinking your coffee, you're kind of like in your mind putting your day,
Getting prepared that way.
getting prepared for a day-to-day thing.
If I know it's going to be a busy day, I kind of like think about it, or I talk it over with Joy. My fiance's name's Joy.
Okay.
Being like, hey, how are we going to go about it? You know, because like if she has stuff going on, I have stuff going on. Collaborate to see like where you can meet in the middle and figure out who can do what kind of thing.
Yeah, because y'all have dogs. Somebody's got to
yeah.
take it. Does she work full-time like during the day as well? Or
Yeah. So she's one of the managers over at Main Event over here.
Okay,
But,
cool.
Yeah, our work schedules are never the same.
Right.
And so like we got to figure out who's doing what, how we're doing it, that kind of stuff. So like we tag team a lot of stuff, like cooking breakfast, preparing our meals, taking care of the dogs. Like since I do like the online stuff, I do everything online, like virtual, like consultations on Zoom. I get a scheduled set time, like between 9 a.m. to 12. I do my video consultations if I have some set. You know, and so like I'll let her know I have this, and this at this time. You gotta take care of the dogs. You know, like
Yeah,
something,
sure,
right?
sure.
Having that breakdown that way.
Okay, nice. So communication again,
Key. 100%.
very key.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I want to ask you like what your future plans are, but I had one other question that I wanted to ask you before we move on to that, which is I'd like to hear about just a crazy story that happened when you were in the military. Something maybe it was during PT or during one of the PFTs or CFTs. Like, is there any just like maybe somebody was late and something? I don't know. Do you have any crazy fitness related stories from that time frame?
Fitness related.
I guess they don't have to be fitness. They could be anything. But
Well, this is kind of like a mix of crazy story plus fitness related at the same time.
Okay.
I was actually out at WTI, like I said, out in Slab City, and we still ran PTs out there. And so, like, it's called a bivouac, your site where your camp is set up at.
bivouac.
Bivouac, yes.
Okay.
Again, another acronym, but yeah. But we were running PT in the morning, like running around, like outside. Over there in Slab City, it's known as the place with no laws in the U.S.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just like a bunch of homeless and like, yeah, it's a very strange place, right?
All right.
But yeah, so we were doing PT, we were running, and this dude walks up to our like camp gate, right? And you have to do gate guard. So you're standing there full kit just in case people come up. You have your rifle, everything simulated as though you're actually like in country, you know? And so you're doing that. And this guy comes up as we're doing like our push-ups and sit-ups and all that kind of stuff, like right there at the entrance. And we all stand up and we tell him like, stop, you know, like go away. The gate guard person's over there too. And she's like freaking out. She didn't know what to do, you know? She has like a fully loaded rifle. She's like, do I make him leave? I was like, not like that. Do not do it like that. I was like, we do not. Like, we're in the States still. You can't do that. That is not okay, you know? And he's like freaking out. Like, he's like, I dare you to shoot me. I dare you to like do it. I dare you. Like, I will make this place go away. And I was like, chill, you know, like calm down.
Just random guy.
Yeah, just a random dude came out of nowhere. There's a lot of random people out there because it's right by the border, as well as no laws and just a bunch of homeless people, right?
Gotcha.
So people just walk up all the time. They try to steal like our MREs and like our food and all that kind of stuff, right? Well, the person who was running PT thought it was a bright idea, have everyone sit in a plank until he goes away, right? And so like he has everyone down in a plank, just waiting, and she's like yelling at the dude like, go away, or whatever. He's like, I will shoot you, and he goes and starts taking off all his clothes. He gets completely
That's the
naked.
only way that you handle that situation.
It was.
What else do you do?
Yeah, dude, I forgot. Yeah, dude, they forgot my Chick-fil-A sauce the other day, and I was stripped down. I was in the car,
Man.
butt naked.
I was just sitting there in the plank. I was like, just looking at him. I was like, what the heck's going on right now? Strips down completely naked. And he's still yelling at her, shoot me, I dare you to. And she's like, do I? I was like, I don't know what to do, you know? And like I yell at her, I was like, do not. And I'm just like shaking because at this point it's been like a couple minutes into this plank, you know? And then Border Patrol ends up like pulling up out of nowhere and like arresting the guy. And I was like, what the heck was that, you know? And then we just continue PT like nothing happened. I was like, okay, yeah.
And it hasn't been spoken about until this moment.
Yeah, you know, like it was a very.
This was all at like 8 in the morning, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
No, it was
super
super early. Yeah,
It had to be. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But I was just like, this was very interesting. Yeah, like we were just kind of running around doing some, you know, body weight movements, and then this guy gets naked in front of us, and I was like, all right, I guess this is where we are now.
Better than a cup of coffee, man.
Really wakes you
Yeah,
up.
I guess so. Well, speaking of guys stripping while you're holding the plank,
There you go.
Tell us about your future plans. You know?
That's similar, yeah.
I love the transition.
You like that?
There we go.
Yeah, that was
You
good.
like that?
Honestly, when it comes to the business, of course, I want to continue growing. I want to continue building it. Right now I'm at like 25 clients total, like online clients and like a couple out here in the area. I want to continue building that until I want to say get about like 40 online clients and then start hiring coaches underneath me to use the branding, the apps and that kind of stuff that has the same similar mindset. And go into like a coach's business as well.
Cool.
Right. So we just consistently stay online, some in person, of course, but have people say out in California, out in North Carolina, out in New York. So I have those in-person people out there as well as they can continue like tagging people in other parts of the States.
Yeah.
Right. For right now, it's just me hitting different areas, but eventually building into having more coaches under my name and kind of building out that way, kind of building my own brand.
Yeah. What's the name of your business brand?
Legacy Athletics.
Legacy Athletics.
Legacy Athletics. We have like a small clients results page that I put up right now. A lot of things are just done through my own personal because it's my online fitness page. My brother, he wants to be a part of it. You know, like he's starting to build up like a nice little following when it comes to online. He actually trains a lot of in-person people for me out in Galveston. But he eventually wants to like take more of a bigger role into the company once there's enough like more
Momentum.
momentum
Sure,
to it.
sure,
Yeah.
sure.
So he'll probably be like the first coach I bring on.
Yeah.
But,
Very cool.
Moving forward from there is going to be just kind of state by state, trying to expand out that way, helping people build their own businesses. Because there's a lot of online coaches out there. Do all of their like views line up with mine? I don't know. But when that time comes, I'll be able to, of course, a little screening process, talk to them, understand what they're trying to do, bring them on with me, help them grow their business.
Sure. And what's your outlook on that, like time wise? Do you have any ideas on that?
So since technically I started it up, like I got everything officialized like 2 months ago, and about, like I said, about 25 clients right now. Ideally, within the next 6 months, be able to start expanding out. That would be ideally,
Very
you
cool.
know, but all of that's going to go alongside like self-marketing, referrals, that kind of stuff. Still doing a good job, like
Sure.
making sure I'm
Yeah,
taking
yeah.
care of everybody so that they do have that word of mouth. Because when it comes to online, everything is word of mouth. You know, like people posting up on their stories saying like, I feel good, I look good. This dude's training me, you know?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so like
yeah.
it just kind of
Yeah,
goes
yeah.
from there. But,
Sure. And are you planning on staying like mostly veteran based, or is that just kind of fell into your lap?
It more along the lines fell into my lap with it. I do enjoy still training like veterans and like active duty and stuff like that. But about 10 of those 25 are just lifestyle clients, or 8 of 25, and then 2 are competitors. They want to be physique bodybuilders.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But yeah, so I'm trying to go alongside like a lot of lifestyle. People that have like those busier schedules, that having a hard time like understanding or finding a good routine, like when it comes to getting into the gym or in-home style workouts if they have to do it at home, as well as like nutrition guidance, stuff like that. So it's just, I've been told a lot of the time you need to kind of have your niche, you know, like having an area and sticking with it. But if I want to be able to help as many people as I can, you know, like a lifestyle in general, there you go. Like why only stick to veterans, you know?
Yeah.
So like if people reach out and like you're not in the military, come on, you know, like
Cool,
I don't want to be like, nah, you're not a veteran. Bye.
Yeah,
You know, like,
right. No, I got you. So where do they find you? What's your, you said Legacy Athletics is your brand. Is that the page?
Yeah.
That
So
you do
that's,
most of your work under? Or what's that? What's
so
the names on that?
the work, so where I put a lot of my videos and stuff like that right now, cause I'll pretty much my personal page is just Justin_Burke, right?
Okay.
It's the online fitness page because I post up everything on my stories. I do the client results on there. I do informational videos, workout tips, nutrition tips, everything on there. And then I'll like collaborate with the Legacy Athletics page for the results.
I got you.
Yeah. So like I have my main page that I reach out to people on so that they have more of a face like, hey, this is the guy that's doing it. This is his secondary page.
Sure.
To kind of see where the results are at.
Yeah, that makes sense. Anything else you want to say or questions for us or anything before we kind of start to wrap up?
What got you into this? Like I said, I love your setup, the way you got it going on. You know, like the people that's never really been in the gym before, teaching them the basics, kind of getting them in here. Like, how did you start that personally? Because that, like I said, I've never heard of another place doing that, and that is awesome.
Yeah, I grew up overweight myself. My mom died very young. I've never met my dad, so when I was 15, I was left with my grandparents, and they actually passed away very young as well, all health related.
Okay.
And so after that happened, I lost about 85 pounds when I was like 20 years old. It changed my life. And so started doing personal training part-time. And my previous career was in manufacturing. Did that for 7 years. I did personal training part-time for 3 years while I was in school and doing the manufacturing thing. And I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with, helping people make the same transition that I did. Because me growing up, I was just a regular guy. And me and Sean went to the same high school. And where we're from, as a young male, most guys, it's like you're either like a doctor or a lawyer. And then everyone else, you go to the plants, work in the refineries.
There you go.
And that was me. That's what I thought. Like when I was like 12, 13 years old, I thought that's what it was. But, whenever I found a fitness and a couple clients like, hey, we think that you can do this, I was like, well, let's try it.
Let's go all
And
in.
so I equate I don't want to call it success, but like my life, where it comes from with a single mom, to where it is now to fitness. And so our logo, as you can see, is a pyramid, right? And so we believe that the foundation of that pyramid is your health and your fitness life. And then once you create that base and that foundation, the arrow is forever. You go up. You never stop.
That's awesome.
So
That's really cool.
that's kind of like our brand message, is that we want to help people become the greatest versions of themselves. And you don't have to be, a crazy athlete to do that. You just need to be fit, in shape, there for your family, and live your best life. And you can't do that without your health or your fitness.
Yeah, that's
And
awesome.
So that's why we
great.
help
Yeah.
regular people, live their best life. And so we want to give them an environment that they feel comfortable. Another one of our mottos is that we want to help people feel not only comfortable in the gym, but also confident in themselves and in their abilities.
For sure. That's what I said. That's awesome. Like when you showed me around and kind of like gave me a breakdown of what you guys do, I was like, man, that is, knowing even more about it, it's kind of like motivational again, as well as like a little inspirational with it all. Cause
Thanks.
that's really cool.
Yeah, we do have a fairly unique way that we do things. Like our business model in general is fairly unique. But I think that if you give it a few more years, you're going to start to see our style of business a little bit more popular. People that want to go where they're, there's a social aspect to what we do, but it's not this huge place where there's like 100 people at a time or anything like that. It's very small groups of between 1 and 4 people at a time. 4 is the maximum. So they get that social interaction, but they still get the personalization and the attention, from the trainer that they need, and the accountability that they need. Just like you give them accountability through a program, we give them the accountability that they need, right here in front of us. So
Sure. Yeah. That's awesome. That's
cool,
great.
man. Appreciate that question.
Yeah.
No one's ever asked me that on the pod, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah.
Sean, do you have any questions for Justin?
I have one more question. So I have 2 actually.
Okay.
How do you stay structured, man? Like, how do you, I guess like that's something that I struggle with, just staying like I can get my attention pulled super easy, like a dog or something. So it's like sticking to that plan of like, because I noticed you didn't bring up like you use any like crazy apps or anything?
Yeah.
Like you were just like, man, I just sit down, I'm like knocking out my eggs and I'm just planning it out, you know? Like how do you, you know, have you always been like that? Or like what, do you have any secret sauce or anything?
Honestly, no secret sauce, as you you said that.
Damn it.
But yeah, honestly, I think the military kind of put that into me. Younger, growing up, like I wasn't as structured, you know, but because everything is very time oriented there, like be there at this time or like this is gonna happen. Of course, it's not to the extreme, you know, in like regular life, but I did that for years, you know, and so it's just kind of naturally put into me now. So like if I wake up in the morning and I, like you said, knocking out the eggs, I'm like, got to go do this at this time, this at this time, this at this time, right? There you go. And I just kind of like stick to it. And I like to plan ahead, you know, so I usually leave my house like 10, 15 minutes early, depending on how traffic could be, especially around here, you know, so I make sure I'm still there like 10, 15 minutes early. And if I'm not, it's usually about 5 minutes early just because traffic was bad, you know? So I always plan for like things to come up just in case. But yeah, I mean, it's just kind of having that mentality. I got to do these things and not trying to deviate from it too much. Like, of course, sometimes it does happen. Like, say, I've had a routine set up and like I was supposed to go to the gym, be done by this time, and like get up and go and do other things. My truck tire was flat. Had to go change that out, of course, and just kind of pick up where I left off or move some things around, you know, like just having an understanding of that, like the rest of your day, seeing where you can squeeze in the things you miss, right? But for the most part, like your average day, just kind of knowing I've got these things set up for you, try not to deviate.
Gotcha. And then my second question is, I know earlier you said that you work security and you're a little bit of a shorter guy.
Yeah.
Was there any interesting interactions working security and like people trying to like kind of charge you up a little bit or whatever? Like
all the time. Yeah. So like, so where I was at was a little more, I'm going to say a little more hood area, you know? So I was short and stout and a white guy. Right. And so like people would come out drunk and they would look at me and be like, I could fight you. I'd be like, bro, get out of here. Like, you know, whatever. And like, you know, just tell them to like, kind of like back up kind of thing. But no, people would try me all the time at the gate. Like I'd stop them at the gate. They'd be like, do you know who I am? I don't care who you are, man. Like, just give me your ID. Let me pat you down, whatever, and continue on, you know? But people, you know, if they're bigger than you, taller than you or whatever, they're like, they're going to try to like push you around a little bit. No, like we're not doing that. Like this is my job. We're making sure that I do it right.
Nice.
But yeah.
Cool. Anything you could think of, like just off the top of your head, like some like you have to body slam somebody at like a bar or something?
A few times.
Hell yeah.
A few times.
Hell yeah.
There was one time, it was like, he was doing a concert there because it was like a concert venue / bar and all this. It was honestly a really funny situation. It was a bunch of country people and they were outside like fighting and like arguing all that stuff. And me and a couple of my security guys walked up there and we broke it up, right? But like as I was standing there, their minivan, you know, like the ones that has the sliding doors, like that. He was like sitting in there and like I'm talking to this girl to my left and he just throws an oil filter at me. Like he just chunks and like pegs me in the chest. And I just kind of looked at him and I went to like go towards him and he slams the door shut and locks it. I was like, you just do that? Bro?
It kind of reminds me of when you like slam the flip phone on somebody back in the day. Man, I don't give a damn. Whap! Oil filter to slam the door combo is crazy.
Yeah, it was a wild one. But you know, we had these cans of like mace pretty much, right?
Okay.
And the back flaps, the windows, you know, they push out and lock.
Oh yeah.
Put that thing up in there, aired his van out, and he jumped out screaming. He was crying. He just dropped down on the ground and like
a can of Raid,
I was
bro.
like, hey, bro, why you?
Like, got the roach out.
That is funny. That was probably one of the more interesting situations. Yeah. I've been bear maced by my own security several times.
Bear mace? Is that what you said?
Yeah, bear mace.
What does that mean?
It's a mace for bears.
Right.
Yeah. It's just,
Right.
Yeah. So it's a Greek container that has a bear on it. You know, you're not supposed to spray people with it, but they would carry it to scare people, you know. But if you're not experienced in security, stuff goes on, you kind of freak out a little bit. You just
Yeah,
spray
and
it,
you
right?
pull
It does like a big cloud. It does not feel good. It hurts a lot, actually.
Interesting. I wouldn't have guessed that.
It's oil based, and so like they say like dab it with milk or like take a shower, rinse it off. If the burn goes away and like you shower, it reactivates it and just spreads down.
Oh my
right.
gosh,
So it's awful.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I've had people try to like I'll be in the middle of cars and a guy behind me, the guy in front of me, he's trying to fight him and he doesn't want to fight, so he rushed me, and so I dropped down, picked him up, and my guy that was standing behind him sprayed. So he sprayed him in the back, me across the face.
Oof.
And I was like, dropped him, and like I was saying some things, and I was just like walking off. I was like, "You handle it," pretty much. I was like, "I'm not doing this anymore." I was like, I'm going inside.
Yeah,
you know?
Party's over. I'm
Yeah.
going home. Like
That's
insane.
That was awful. But yeah, no, there's a lot of situations that probably could have been avoided if people just used a little like common sense or just wasn't so
not
aggressive.
Gonna
you know?
not happening.
Self control. Yeah,
Self-control, there you go.
Alcohol is involved, bro. All that
Yeah.
goes out the window.
Yeah, common sense
It's
and
gone.
mixed with alcohol. Yeah, it doesn't always happen. Yeah, cool, man, dude. I appreciate those great stories.
Yeah. Hey, man, I'm here for you.
Yeah, we just got naked guys while we're holding planks.
Yeah,
Bear mace.
Yeah,
You
there
know?
you go. Bear mace to the face.
A lot of interesting stuff.
Yeah,
you know?
I love
It's
it, dude.
just-
Yeah,
it's
I
just
love it.
Cool stories.
Cool, man, dude. Well, I appreciate your time. Thanks
Thank
for
you so
coming
much.
by. Yeah,
Thank you
man.
for having me, man.
Really
This
appreciate
was
it.
cool.
Yeah, cool. I'm glad you liked it. Well, guys, make sure you like, subscribe, check out Justin's page, and we'll see you next time.
Peace out.